Okay. So here, hope you can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
So, zoom it up a bit.
No, it's big enough. I have a very large monitor.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And make it small as you want.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
So,
This is
yeah,
bigger.
we have to go through the, we did go through the PyCharm IDE, I recollect. Okay. And recap of the app development framework, ORM, CRUD, MVT, introduction to the framework, administration. Somewhere here we have to start. Okay. So I'll just still give a quick recap of these concepts, ORM, CRUD, MVT, and so that we enter into the Django framework and the administrative part. Okay, because that's what we parked earlier. Okay. And then we look at, okay, we'll have to create a sample hello world, right? That's the Django DJ2 project, right?
Got it.
So that's the one we do today. Okay. Okay, so that will be the content coverage. And we'll quickly recap on these concepts, okay, and go into what are the steps to do at the beginning of creating a Django project. Okay, so introduction to the framework, Django administration, and the site admin site concepts. Okay, so that, and then we'll step into the DJ2 project, the Django project for the hello world. Okay, that's the first one. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So let's size this.
Should I open one on my side also, side by side, or I just follow what you're saying for the moment?
We can, yeah. I'll tell you. Yeah, okay. This is a hands-on. So I will show you a few steps, and then you can also do the same. Okay. Yeah. We'll go in that approach, step-by-step approach. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So this architecture you are familiar with. Okay. So you have the client who accesses the application with the browser. The client is making a HTTP request, and the request is handled by the WSGI. WSGI is web server gateway interface. In our case, Django. Okay, though this is Flask, and Flask and Django are both based on model view template architecture. So, and here it shows Guernicon. That's a production grade applications server. Okay, so then your Django can run on any such WSGI. Okay, so packed with Django is this layer. Okay, and it has a development server, and Guernicon could be a production server. So that's why development and production, because for the developer, it's easy to get a ready start. And that's the reason Django has this development server. Okay, but however, that's not fit for production use. Things like scaling the number of users and all that, number of workers and all requests and all that. They have a more robust green unicorn or Guernicon server. Okay. Now that interfaces with a physical device, a physical machine called the web server. Okay, so that's a layer between your web server and the client, and then you have other components like a database server that could run a database on SQLite or Postgres. SQLite for development purpose, Postgres for more production releases. So both are open source database, and whereas SQLite is more an academic level database. It doesn't scale up.
So,
And
the ports that you said that you gave initially, right? That 128, that port is obviously between the client and the Gunicon,
mm,
right?
mm, mm.
So now between Gunicon and web server, what is the protocol? How do they talk to each other? You said
All
they are.
are these are HTTP, and the
Hmm,
moment you want to implement um, HTTPS is also possible. Okay, HTTPS would require uh,
yeah,
additional uh,
encryption. Yeah.
encryption, yeah, certificates and all that. And this, what you see, Nginx is a reverse proxy. Okay,
Ah.
Nginx is deployed as
Hmm,
a reverse proxy. This is what it does is, one side, a lot of requests is coming from the client. Uh,
hmm,
Not everything can be handled by the web server. So
hmm,
you have a proxy. Okay, so proxy which handles a lot of requests and then talks to the web server. That's called a forward proxy, or simply called proxy. So
hmm,
like, instead of somebody else is giving a proxy. So that's a proxy. So that's like a broker between all these requests, and that proxy will talk to the web server. So that's called a proxy.
hmm,
Okay, or simply proxy for the term forward proxy. Whereas a reverse proxy, what it does is, um, for a given request, if a lot of load is there, then all that is balanced between more than one uh, web servers. Internally, they could set up to have multiple machines, multiple web servers, and the reverse proxy could load balance and send it across different web servers. And so that's between
Yeah, I
the
understand reverse proxy
okay,
functionality.
so that's what Nginx does. Okay,
Okay.
so
Okay.
that's more a production architecture. Okay,
Okay.
so that's what a reverse proxy is doing here. That is a one-time configuration to basically secure your server also. The server is secured this way with Nginx, and many production um, configurations they have Nginx. So this overall architecture. So in terms of development, we have a Django development server. Okay, which runs in port 8000, local host 8000. Okay. So then the other concepts like what's called an object relationship mapper. Okay, ORM. ORM, object relationship mapper, provides a simple way to perform a CRUD operation. Okay, so create, read, update, delete. Anytime you land on the landing page of an application, you have the various business objects with which you can interact. You want to query all the blogs, or you want to query all the records. So then you perform a read. Okay, so here this stands for the object model. This is a model. A model is a representation of the database table. Okay, here for the database, the architecture has one additional uh, component called, for each table you have a model object. Okay, each table you have a model object. So ORM is allowing developers to interact with databases using an object-oriented paradigm. Okay, called object relationship mapping. Okay, and mapping database tables to classes and rows to objects. Okay, so if you have a user table, and this is a user model. Okay, same like the columns of the table, yes, fields, yeah, ID, name, gender, for example. Okay. Now, ORM does this, the objects created, what do you do with the objects, right? You could in your home page or the landing page, you want to read all the existing records. So this is a query operation or read. Okay, so here the object is user dot objects dot get. Okay, so get will get all the records. In this case, get for a single ID. Okay, so it will take an ID and get the rows. Okay, so that's your request and the response. So in the request, you could pass the ID and the response would be the rows you want to see. So, so many times you'll probably have at the landing page all the existing bookings, existing blogs, all the existing records in the database. So the read is from that. Okay, so for which you'll use a model dot objects. This is the notation model dot. This is a standard keyword.
So
So
user
model,
is the instance of the class that was stable. Is it?
User, yeah. User is our instance of the class. User is the model. Yeah. So,
yeah. Okay. So there was there you have created a table called user.
User. Yes.
And you have instantiated it as whatever user here. And in that you are extracting.
Correct.
Okay.
So these are some function names itself. So so when you say user dot objects dot get and pass one ID equal to like that, it's a function readily available with this object relationship mapping. Okay, so when you have to create a record, you don't do database SQLs. Instead, you say user.objects.create, and you pass the properties exact value, like name property has Alice.
Got it.
So this will create the row. And when do you create? In terms of web, you will do a post. So you might have a form where Alice is trying to register. So Alice's name is entered in a field in the browser page, and then click register or click enroll. So then you have HTTP post. Okay, HTTP post, and then when in the view, basically in the model view template architecture, the view is handling the functions. So view will have this code, user.objects.create, like that. Okay, so this is when you use let's say you create a model, or I'll be using the term model as synonymous to class, like Python classes. Okay, so even from the Python terminal, you can use these functions, user.objects.create. You don't need a form, you don't need the post, HTTP post and all that. Once you create a simple class, you can use this function to create the records. Okay, and you can use this function to read.
This is as good as a SQL command, is it?
It's as good as SQL command, correct?
Oh,
so,
okay.
So that's what these are some standard methods. User.name, I'm setting Bob, and the user.save will update. Okay. User.delete is a standard function. See, anytime you see this brackets, it's like a standard function. So delete. So we will see these.
So these are functions of which class? Model class, huh? Save, delete, get, create.
No, you
will be defining it, right, in a class, isn't it?
Once you define a class, all this is available at that instant.
Parent child,
No. Let's say I create a person class. Okay. Now, even just the ORM concept itself is like, once you create a class, I'll have an object of that class, and then go about creating records. I can use this create. If I have to read the existing records of that, you can use this function. So at the prompt itself, at the prompt and the terminal itself, you can create these things.
Correct, Ajay. But if you have to call a function which is You should have defined it in the class, right? Then only you can call that function, isn't it?
So the ORM concept allows you to use this as standard.
Oh.
Yeah, it's given as the standard syntax with the ORM. And so that's when the ORM is available for the CRUD operation. And inside your Django or inside the framework, you can use these functions at the view level. So when I say landing at my home page, and then I want to, let's say I put a create button, okay, then what would I code for it? This sort of, okay. So you can code for it this way. If I have to read, you can read for records like that. If I have to delete, I'll use this function. So in the view, you will use, for example, you had a delete button on the form on the screen, right, on the page. When you click, what would happen? When you click, actually that request is coming through the HTTP delete, okay? And then the view is handling it. The view handles it. When the view has to delete, it will use user.delete. Okay. So, and of course, you can pass a specific ID to delete. Okay. So that's the CRUD operation. What we are saying is ORM provides a simple way to perform the CRUD operation. Okay, using methods on the objects rather than SQL commands. Okay, so you will not need SQL at all. Okay, so that's the ORM.
But is there the same way you can also use same commands to create tables also?
Create is just this create
tables.
not create tables here. Yeah, that's the framework. Okay, when you have to create the object, you will inside you'll have to code for the object to be created, like the Python class has to be created. We're coming to that. When you have to create tables, this is a model. Okay, I said, okay, user, I showed one other example, user and the model, right? User table is a model. Here is products table and a product model. Okay, so when you ask, what should I do for creating the table itself? No, correct. You don't have to do create table SQL. You will just inherit from this models.model from Django. So that's where the framework is giving you these things. Okay. So models.model represents the parent. Okay. From there, you just, while you create your own products model, you will inherit from models.model. Okay.
But how about that normalizing that ER model with primary key, foreign key, delete cascade, all that you can do here, is it?
Yes, you can do that. I'll show you.
Okay.
Yeah, at the simplest manner, you will first create a single table, right? So we are here. So when you inherit, you are creating products. When you inherit, you're creating a person model. When you inherit, you're creating a user model. Okay. So each model is a Python class. Each model maps to a single database table. Each attribute of the model represents database field. This is clear, right? So I have this example. Yeah. iPhone, price, and all that. ID. Okay. So in MBT design, the overall schematic is like this. You have the HTTP request coming from the HTML page. The view handles it. The view interacts with the products model, and then it renders. So now, who will render the final HTML page to the client? Okay, so Django as a framework has some frameworks functions to render. Okay, so when you say render this HTML, it will just render that HTML. So that's what Django does. And it can also pass a context. When you pass the context, it means here the user might have clicked on a particular blog. Okay, then you're reading the detail of that blog, right? So that click on a specific ID is a blog ID. So that is called the context, and the context is one which is fetching you that specific detail blog. So Django can render not just the HTML, it can also, specific to that context, it can show the records of that context. You might be wanting to see a single block, you might want to filter a certain kind of records and then render it. So Django has capability to add a context along with the rendering itself, rendering of the page. So this is the MVT model view template design. Okay.
Got you.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Now you asked the question, what about the primary key, foreign key? Here is the CRUD. I could create an author model. Okay. Which is just name. Okay. I'm creating very simple example. Author and a book. Okay. Author, list of authors are there. Book, you have various books. Okay. This author ID will appear, I mean, the book ID itself will appear, but the name of the author is the foreign key here. Okay. So then this author might have 3 books. Okay. So then there are 3 records here for one single record here. So this column, which is unique, normally an ID column. Okay. Not in this case, though it's name, but normally an ID column is a primary key, and that primary key repeating multiple times on the other table is the foreign key, is called the foreign key. So this is also called the master table, and this is the detail table. Okay. So this is the relationship, primary key and foreign key, called the referential integrity constraint. So it will constrain, it's a rule. Okay. So here you can create one model here, another model here, and you can say, here is an example. Okay. This is the primary key tables equivalent. Okay. So what Django does is, from Django.db, you look at the code, from Django.db is the Django libraries submodule database. Imports models. Okay. Now class author models.model. Okay, this is what I was saying. You have to just inherit from this models.model. Now that model is coming from this particular models. Okay, so just little mouthful here. So, but basically, whenever you create a author or a person or any of your own model as the primary key, you would create a model, inherit from this. Okay, and then you go about saying models defining the field. So name, author's name is my models.character field. They have character field, they have all other number, boolean, all that. Okay, so when you create max length, shows how much is the length of this field. Okay, that particular field is equivalent to the column in the table. So now I created the master tables equivalent model. Okay. So in SQL, that's a master table. Here it's a model. Okay. Now, of course, the string str function is there, return the name. But now this is your child. Okay. And so here, this is the book model. This also inherits from models.model. Okay.
Yeah. So it is a second table, basically.
It's a second table. Okay. And title equals models.char field max line. So this is the book name, book title.
Yeah. These are the attribute you are defining.
Attributes. Okay. So while defining the relational attribute for the author, I have models.foreign key. Okay. Model.foreign key of which table? There you give the model of the primary key table name. So like that. So that's the first module. First Python model. Okay. Pardon me. First Python model. Author, what you created, the master tables equivalent is specified here for this column. and that's all it takes. Okay, you're referring author, and then this is syntax on delete cascade. What happens? Yeah, what happens if a record is deleted? This will also be deleted. So that's how you create the primary key and the foreign key tables equivalent in ORM, and specifying foreign key. Okay, the same.
So whatever you write first, the attribute that becomes the primary key, is it? Because I don't see any primary key tag.
Yeah, that becomes a primary key, and and here you just specify the foreign key, so then there is that relationship.
Yeah, got it. Okay.
So then here it goes on to, once you just the Python class is required, you can go create records. So the function author.objects.create, much like user.objects.create I showed you. Here author.objects.create, George Orwell is author. Book also you can create a record like that, title and author. Okay. So you could use further functions to filter some specific rows. So if you're querying authors of a specific books of a specific author, okay, Orwell books is equal to book.objects.filter. So this filter function is available. Okay. And then you say author name is George Orwell, it'll filter 3 books of that author. Okay, if there are 3 books like that. Okay, so book equal to title, and author is equal to this author. So we are given like that. Okay, so this allows you to even create records, query records, filter records from the prompt where you just created the. If you go to terminal, or if you just use from Python itself, it will allow you to do from the Python terminal itself. Okay. Now Django is
what do you do from the Python terminal? You can run these object commands from there.
Commands from there. It will show the 3 records. It will show the authors like that. The data can be directly interface with the object to show the record and do the query. So the CRUD operation can be done right from the prompt, from the author, from the terminal. Okay. Normally the terminal is the bottom region of the PyCharm, or you can just be in the DOS command prompt as well. Okay. So this works there. What Django is doing, it's facilitating this model. Okay, model is.
So basically, the value add of Django is it has a module called models submodule. You import that and you get customize the class basically to build tables, and then you instantiate it and add rows into it. That's all. That's what you're doing.
That's all. That's all. Yeah. So that's this correct.
So what is it? See, I don't know anything. So I'm asking you, what is the advantage of this? You are saving on SQL license, huh? Is it what it is?
Good question. We most frameworks use this is object oriented. Okay, this ORM itself is used by any of the frameworks, whether it's Django uses this ORM. Okay. If you see Flask may not have this ORM. Okay, Flask you have to do everything yourself, but Django uses this. If you look at other frameworks, even like Odoo and other ERPs, they use the same concept. Okay, build the entity relationship structure, what they know in the SQL sense, in terms of database, in terms of database design and RDBMS. This is created, and this is how they onboarded. You can say from a timeline of the way this gotten. This is the way developers were onboarded to the RDBMS side without having to know SQL. Okay, so without knowing SQL, you can just purely as a application developer build these objects. And anyway, you will require the database, and this database and the DBMS and then admin is all there. You could any day go and query from the database tables. Okay, In Postgres also, they have this Postgres admin user. You can see all the database objects. So administration at the database is always there. If a developer has to go in and do all that, he can still do so. But
how do you connect to the database? Like here, so this is running on a memory, right? Now this has to be moved to a database. How do you do that? Like that's the part maybe I'm not clear.
So when you go into that specific, you'll have a connection string.
Connector.
Connector.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a small fragment of code. That's all. But we saw that in Flask. Yeah.
I totally
it's okay. It's okay.
wash
No
out.
problem.
Yeah.
No problem. No problem. So, I'm having some issue with the screen. Okay. So these were the. And now we look. So we looked at the model. The next one we look at the. Just hold on. So come to an architecture.
So from one particular PyCharm, I can connect to multiple connectors. One MongoDB, one SQL. I can do like that with one is a normalized database, one is like a NoSQL. I can do all that, right? From one program itself, from one project itself, right?
Correct. You can connect, but in terms of there's a string for the connect, right? That in Django is provided in the settings.py. I was trying to tell you the other day. This is my application architecture. So I've given the same here, like model, database, view which has CRUD functions. Then the page itself is here. The page has a form. The buttons are there, submit and cancel. This is a user interface layer. This is a business logic layer, and this is where the ORM is. Okay, so other two files as a part of Django's files is like settings.py, which has such information like the one we are talking about, like connecting to database and all that is inside this. So inside that is the settings, which will tell the database to which you're connecting is Postgres or SQLite or any other database. So you can find that settings there. Whereas urls.py is basically mapping each route. Is an organized way to map each route to these CRUD functions. If I clicked on post operation, HTTP post, and click on add button, so that link between the function and the landing route, which I mean the browser, which you say the backslash is the home page, and then /add/update like that, that's stored here. So that's all the URLs of your application. Okay, we'll look at that. No worries. Settings, I want to show it to you one quick time. Yeah, this is one of the settings setup. Okay, installed apps is equal. You have to make an entry here. Okay, your custom application has to be entered here. So similarly, the database settings also comes in this manner. Okay, so this is the file architecture and all that. So model, we've seen model. No, I was just pointing to here is my app and my site.
Can you go back to the previous slide? What was that you were saying? I think I lost this.
No problem. No problem. I was here talking about the file, the architecture which I showed. No. One moment. I'm sorry. I'm scrolling to the diagram.
No.
Yeah. Here the settings.py.
Yeah.
I talked about the configuration of the database. Like what is the port, what is the name of the database, what type of database it is. Typically like a database INI, right? So here the application is using that to connect. So that is in this file. I'm trying to, that's when you open that file, that's the setting here. Okay.
So where is that? That is in the PyCharm. I have to search for this, right? Where is that?
Yeah. We'll come to that. We'll come.
Okay.
I think there's some issues. So in PyCharm, you will see that settings. See this settings.py.
Okay.
Okay. So I just went to the folder structure here. I opened a project. There are at high level two things here. I told you there is my site, which is going to give you the administrative part. Okay, this is the default site for any Django project. Okay, that's my site. You'll have settings.py in that and urls.py in that. Okay, so settings.py, I just opened that. Okay. Okay, in settings.py, here are your own app, what you're creating, will have to make an entry, but I want to bring your attention to not this, databases.
Databases. Okay.
Yeah. So database, you're just telling this is SQLite. In this case, the configuration is pretty simple. Okay. So that's all it takes to connect to a SQLite database. Engine name. So what this framework has done is they got these settings readily. Under the hood, they have given all the heavy lifting, all that. That's so this is where you, if you want to switch this to Postgres, you will have to specify the Postgres name here, and this is the database what you're seeing here, db.sqlite3. And there is an engine like this, Django DB backend. So they just given it like a setup to connect. Okay.
So I can have more databases here like this.
You can. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If you want to connect to your own database, like that can be specified here. Yes.
Okay.
Now that's the file. So we looked at, let me shuttle back. We looked at models, then we looked at view in this design, model view. Okay, model view template. So we just looked at models and then we went into the settings for the database, right? We are yet to see what's there in the view. The CRUD operations is in the view, and then the template is HTML. So just, where is the diagram? Yeah. So model view template. Okay, this is the page. Okay. Now, yeah, so of course this is the UI layer. So I will go into the, before the view, I'll just go into the template. Okay. So the template is a page HTML. Okay. Template is what you see as a page. Okay. So it's a HTML, and that HTML can have a form. Okay. The page is having a form with few fields in it. Okay, so I have name, email, like that. Imagine this user form. Okay, name and email is given, and he's submitting a registration to a newsletter or something like that. Okay, so these buttons, submit and cancel button, are in the page, but this form can be created in a special manner. Why a special manner? Because typically you would create a Django, HTML form with a HTML form tag and put some item of, text label. Each of that can be pure HTML. But Django, instead of going about creating that in a HTML tag manner, okay, I've given inside the HTML form tag, they have Excuse me. Sorry. They have a specialized manner which these fields are anyway coming from the model, right? They are just a direct one-to-one. Okay, so you don't have to write the input tag and all that. They have the concept called Django model form. Okay, so what's a model form? Meaning, if I have any model in the database, this Django is the team has realized that I can have a specialized manner which allows me to create a model form class, and that will be used directly here. So I don't, I can just have a simple manner to create name, email inside my Django model form. Okay. And then call that Django model form inside the HTML here. We'll see the specifics, but what I'm just telling here is it's a simplified way to point a form to the model, and rest of it is done. Point a form means I don't have to look at the details of the HTML tags. I'll have a class created with just the column names of the model, and it will create that form. Okay, we will see this.
Same principle like your database table design and all.
Same principle. Yeah, same principle like where we went from ORM tables to ORM. These guys have created from the ORM model just the form. Okay, another class. Just think of it like another Python class. Okay?
Got it.
And then we use that.
It's the same model, same module, module. Is it?
No. You'll have to point to this model. Right. We'll see how the code is, but just for now, this form is going to be sitting in the page. Okay. Of course, other buttons below can all be pure HTML. Okay. So this is a template. Okay. So this is Django model form. Okay. Now they call template for this HTML. Okay. Now that has some approach like what we discussed in Flask earlier. So here there's a base template. Okay, so there's a base template, let me see. Base template, which has the clutter with all these HTML tags, doc type, HTML, close and open close, head and all this. This, if you see that embedded block head, block end block, block body and block. Okay. With this block syntax, they have gone into reducing the default HTML tag, head and body tag by just parking that base HTML. When you go into the exact HTML, in this case, this is a home page. Typically, naming convention about it is index.html. You just spell the first line of code as extends that particular template. Okay, so here extends base HTML. So this specifically the base was called base generic. Okay, so that's just a name. All you do is extends this base or the first common HTML, and then use that block, whatever block you defined inside here, block title or block head and block body, like that. So here it's used block title, block content. Okay, so this is how now we're having what's called the Jinja 2 templates. Okay, and these are template tags which is a specialized tag with brackets, the flower brackets % and % flower brackets. As blocks, this is a % block and a name, and % end block has, so this is called template definition language. Okay, template definition language. It has a way to call a value like this, double flower to call value. So double flower, and I can point to some field which is actually like I can say story.headline. Okay, then a story is a context which I'm passing. Okay, context means let's take the example of blogs. Okay, the first time you landing in the home page, you want to see, let's say, all the blogs. So then you'll think of it like there's a HTML, page.html, but the values of that, the records or the rows are coming from one context that's going to be passed into the HTML. Okay, it might be slightly away, but we'll see how this call happens.
Maybe we have to,
in the code.
when you start write the
see,
code, we'll understand.
that. So then there is other syntaxes in the template definition language. If this name, for now, think of it like the object equivalent or the set of row set. Okay, you have a row set. If that is the field is like this, you're getting some response, else something. So there's a if and if else and if syntax. Okay, here is a for syntax, like for country in countries. Okay, inside the for can be nested like this. So this is a collection or a row set. Okay, so here in this case, one index of this collection. So this is what you'd think of it like blogs. These form the rows of the model. Okay, so the record set. The record set is handed off as a context. Okay, so when you are doing the rendering, when Django is rendering, I gave one picture here. Sorry. When Django renders, it hands off the record set as a context. Okay, that means user clicked on this specific set of rows. You might want to filter something. So that's like that author's specific books. So 3 records could become a context. So context, think of it like it's a set of rows. Okay. At the beginning, you might want to see all the blocks. So that's going to be passed on along with the HTML. So when the user does a query, you want to give him the page along with the rows, right? So page is the page.html and the context is the rows. These two are rendered together with Django's render method. Okay, so that's all. Okay, we are rendering. Rendering is the process of giving a HTML page and its row set. Okay, and its records, whichever is the specific context. So that's called the context. The context could be like a set of rows, or the context could be one record the user clicked. Meaning, initially I wanted to see all the blocks in my web page or the HTML page, but then the next time the user clicked, okay, I want to click the specific blog of Wednesday. So he clicked on that link, that ID. ID becomes that fragment of the query which you're giving is going to do the HTTP GET and that record set from the database for that specific blog detail is going to come as a context. Okay, so page 1, I wanted 5 blogs. Okay, that's my landing. User clicked on blog number 3. Okay, and then specific ID went and it fetched the blog details as a context. Okay, so that's how the context works. It understands where the user clicked, and then that is passed along to the Django framework to render it. Okay, so the rendering takes place from that framework. Okay, so here is the info, book.objects.all. Now, how do you pull? And that's where the CRUD's function comes in here. Book is my model, book.objects.all is my record set. Okay, so publishers.objects.all. This is a standard CRUD's ORM method, standard ORM method. Objects.all is a set of all the rows. So such what you call function or standard Python functions are there with the framework, and it's with the ORM itself, so that you can pass as a context. Okay, so we'll see it in action. Simply think of it like a query set, the template context is a value passed, example, as single ID, or the query set is a list of values of the model. So that whole query set can be passed as the context. Okay, either one record or multiple records. That's all is a takeaway. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
And, yeah. Okay. So yeah. So now we are looking at the view. Okay. So we looked at the template. Okay. These are all the template code. Okay. Further to showing it on the app, this is how the project is. Okay. I'll go specifically, we'll create a templates folder. Okay. So this is a standard convention. We just follow it as it is. Because we're adding this custom in the settings for that site, in the settings.py, you'll have to go spell it out. My app templates is under templates. If one setting like this is there called templates, it will be pointing to the directory where it's currently based there. But under my this like DJ2 project location folder, I'm now creating a subfolder. My app and a subfolder. So since it's custom, you'll have to go spell it out in the settings. Okay. I repeat, my apps templates is where all the HTMLs are going to be put. In this case, we are just having an index.html, a simple hello. Okay. So this architecture of templates and this setting is the key points to note. Okay. And what it contains, it will contain base.html, and then the other HTMLs, other templates are all put here. Okay. So we will look at it. Okay. But this is how the code is. So we just had a quick look at the, so I just will come back to this diagram. Yeah. There was that. I'll come back to this, saying we just looked at the templates. Of course, we'll come to the form, park it there. This is the template. Okay, simply put the page HTML. Okay, we saw the model, we saw the template. Next, we go into the view. Okay, view contains CRUD functions. Okay, view contains CRUD functions. It determines what happens when you do the read, the add record, or the create. That is equal to create, right? And then you update and delete. So simply the CRUD functions are written. And also in the view, there will be decorators which sits on top of functions. You learned what a decorator was earlier.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
So there will be a decorator which links the route. When you say route, the landing page is called the backslash or the forward slash. It's a slash. That's a home page. Okay. And then the sub pages, or you could create an add page, you could create an update page. So each of that route is put as a decorator on the view. Okay. So the decorator here has that job of linking when block, I'll come to when they, I'll show this diagram, pardon me, the scroll. Yeah, here, store.block. So when the route is different for each of these, okay, from the client, the URLs are different, right? So each is to pull and show. The framework is to pull and render a specific page for each of this. And that's this example. This is the view in the middle. Does the job of receiving this route. So inside the view function, on top of it, we'll put this decorator. Okay, this decorator. So as app.route. Okay, so in Flask you have each route linked to a view function. So then when to showcase an example, when you say blog, the blog page is rendered. You show about, the about page is rendered. And click contact, the contact page is coming. So that's the view rendering it. There's one view which is rendering it. Okay. So that's the relationship between the route, the template, or the page here, the view is doing the job of rendering back. So to render, let me go to, so we saw template to render. Yeah. Okay, this is one example. Okay, each of these views we coded. Go into the page itself, view itself. So you have from the files views.py. Views.py. Okay. So all models are in Django, very clean and organized. All models are in models.py, all views are in views.py. Okay, I'll just quickly show you the model. There's nothing coded because we are not creating a database model here. We're just seeing a hello world, right? So, but view is having render. See here. From Django.shortcuts, import render. This is a framework method, this Django framework method. Okay. Django.shortcuts, import render. Now what we are doing, we create a view, def index, okay, returns the page. So return render, using this render, okay, return render template name, which template to show index.html. Okay, so this request is syntax. Okay, so in Django it's there, in Flask it's not there, but request means your HTTP request. Okay, they just put it here as a syntax. So you code for the view, which is a function. Okay, view is a function which here is just returning a page. So that's the framework. It is just going to show the page. Okay, so in a hello world, this is what is happening. Now I think yeah, view code can be extended if you're seeing this particular fragment of code for post and query out. So post and get. So the landing page is giving you all the blogs, all the records, right? So that has to be coded inside the view with this approach. If request.method, I can check request.method equal to post. Okay, that means I'm about to write. Okay, so then I can take the forms field, take that field and add, do a DB session add. Okay, so this is a specific, and then I do a commit. Same way, if it is not the post, I'm just doing a to-do.query.order by. So this is an actually in this case this is a code for task. Oh, just one moment. This may not be the right code to show. Hold on. Okay, views of functions here. This is what we just saw. Okay, hello world view. We did a render, right? So views are functions or classes inside the view.py. Views.py is a file in your project application directory. url.py will link. Now there's no route. Sorry, the decorator is only with Flask, pardon me. The decorator, I repeat, is applicable to Flask only. But in Django, he's got urls.py. Okay, so urls.py is a separate file, and all views are in view.py. Now what you do is you define the view in views.py by creating a view function. Okay, we just saw views of functions inside the view.py. Okay, now while creating, you'll create your own functions. Like in this case, index is a convention. So def index request return render request and the HTML. So this creates the index view. Okay, this creates the index view. And now to link the view to the route, we don't have decorators here. I will show you. There is a urls.py. Okay, so so the urls.py appears like this. Add the index view which you created in the views.py into this urls.py. So if you look at it, URL patterns is equal to path and then the index view. Okay, so this is how each path, what happens in the route, in this case, an empty string means the home page. Empty string is like the backslash, the forward slash. So this entry has to be made, which will show all the URL patterns. So you use the standard Django module called path. So from Django URLs, import path. Okay, and with path serves a purpose like linking the route to the view. Okay, so this doesn't use decorators. So he's having a special file called url.py where all the paths are specified here. What it does is when the route comes, like we saw, no, about contact and all that, when that comes, it will link to this whatever view you are creating. What is this? From my app, import views as my app views, and then using my own application views dot, what is the function name, view function name. Okay, and then you're giving it a name. This name is the name in the browser, the route. Okay, so likewise, each view function has to be specified in urls.py. Okay. So this is the Django. Okay, example. Product model is like this. Okay, title, description, price, etc. And then this shows up base template, extends base. I've got HTML. Okay, and the base is gone into DJ Pro. We have modified templates, and this particular page will be shown in the browser. Okay, when yeah, it is extending Bootstrap. Bootstrap, we'll see in base, we can specify a Bootstrap file. Okay.
What is Bootstrap?
Now, in this case, the style is coming from where, you might ask. Okay. Oh. Yeah, that we'll see there is a link specified, much like the cascading style sheets. This page is looking with the Bootstrap style of font and all that. I will show that. Yeah, you can in the HTML specify, or you can put it in a CSS. The content here we are not. Let me see here. Here we are not using, but we'll see an example. But let's do the first case. We'll come to that link. It's there in typically an HTML file. Okay, and you can see the tag is a link tag. So what it just tells here is you're using what's called template inheritance. When you say extends base, you don't have that base and inherited HTMLs here. See, that's what I was talking about, right? Extends base. So in the base itself, this is base, I could add some content which applies to all other HTMLs. Okay, so if I had some 5 HTML pages in my application, I don't want to say each of the HTML follows Bootstrap one by one, right? So I'll put that one-time setup in base.html. Okay, and then when I use this extends concept, that one-time CSS, which is Bootstrap oriented, will come into my individual files. Hope Bootstrap, you understood, right? Bootstrap is allowing me to have a certain kind of style. So So it's open templating language. We saw that in earlier session, but I'll go there once again. Bootstrap is the largest content distribution in the planet. So this is Bootstrap, and he has standard look and feel, which is responsive by design. There are examples, but they have color codes, there are patterns. Basically, it's a design pattern. Okay, Bootstrap theme. Okay, it look and feel. They follow the responsive design, and how this it's basically style sheet delivered globally. Okay, so you can just use that in your tags. See here with this is a responsive design. Okay, it's a Bootstrap responsive nature. We'll use this tag inside it, and the CSS itself is this link tag. In HTML, when you put link tag, that will build a specific kind of style sheet. So what he has done is, in the content delivery network, he has got this version one time. Developers can build HTML by just linking to this. The entire style of that will come. Okay, so contents like layout contents are the grid 3 column, form type of icons, type of look and feel. This is all available. Card, here this all the UI. The UI delivered look and feel, common look and feel globally. Okay, so here are buttons. Buttons will look what type of buttons you have, like this colored buttons. Success is green. The variants are like that. Okay, so you can just use this in your code, and he has standardized. This is called a template framework. Bootstrap is a template framework which gives a standard look and feel. Okay, so each developer need not have to struggle with his own. A card will look like this. Okay, so they standardize that. The carousel will look like that. Like that.
I think I had to spend at least tons of hours understanding all this.
You don't have to think. This is delegated think. Like meaning the entire look and feel is given by them. All you're doing, you're not doing anything of this. That means he has only put a button will look like this. Okay, a card will look like this. You don't have to build it from scratch, and he has given an easy way to use it in your application. All HTML developer has to do is to put a link tag. Let's see, I'll show you a few more. Here there are different kind of user. So this is a navigation bar. Okay, nav bar will look like this. Okay, like different. So with the HTML, he has got HTML. You just copy and lift it and put it there. You don't have to lift it, bother about it. They got some standard UI. Okay, what developers do here, we come here, take this, put it in your code, and then it will build this sort of a menu. That's all. And then start modifying. So it's very simple only. Don't get bogged down. Only just standardize. But from a high level, if you have to use the simplest of entries in your code, when you go to this get bootstrap, go to the docs. This is the link you have to introduce. This you have to copy from here. Okay, so include bootstrap, CSS and JS. This is CSS, but a link can also be put directly in the HTML. I mean, the two things are either you'll write the link inside the style sheet link is inside the HTML, or you will keep it as separate .css file and follow that. Okay, That's all. Okay. So here he is showing an example for this link. Of course, a page can have multiple style components and all that. Any HTML, if you open out, you will see that. So here, this, what I just told in terms of our example, or in here, where is that? Bootstrap can be included in our base HTML. And since we're using the template inheritance concept, you can, suppose you're building 3 screens, 3 HTML pages, okay? Which could be like the landing page, and then the add buttons page, and then an update page, okay? So let's say there are 3 HTMLs. Instead of putting the style sheet in every page, you could put the style sheet in base template here. Here, this is your base HTML, one file, okay? Then you inherit from base, right? That's this extends base, okay? So every other HTML, index.html, add.html, update.html, all of that inherits from base.html, okay? So this base, if I put the link to the style sheet there, okay? And here in this case, I have shown that. Here is that link tag. Then you don't have to go put that style sheet in individual 3 other pages of index, add, and update. That's what I said. Okay. That's all I said. And this specific link can be having a local CSS style sheet. Okay. Or it can also have pointer to the bootstrap. So instead of this way, I can just put the bootstrap link here. Okay. It can have multiple also, both bootstrap, and you might want to have some local style sheet as well, like background screen and all that. Both can merge and show as well. Okay. So that can all go into base.html. So that's one thing about the template itself. So we covered 3 things here. One, model to start with. Okay. Then we look at view, and then we look at the template. Okay. For the templates, 2 things. One is the settings.py was modified for the path, and then the URLs was specifying the link between the route and the function, the view function. Okay. So these are the only takeaway things. It will look new to you, but as you go
a lot of new
using,
things. I'll go through the recordings again. Listen to your recording again.
Okay. Yeah. As you, I mean, since you're just learning the concept, that's the only thing. Once you start doing it, it will come through like second nature. There's no problem. Okay. So this all, it is not to be overwhelmed. Initially, it is something, but it will just, as we practice something, it will come through. What I'll do is I'll park this session now. Okay. Of course, we have seen this. There is not much here. Okay. But we'll do the hands-on step by step in the next session. Okay.
Okay.
When can we do that next session? Friday evening your time?
Yeah, I'm free. Yeah, easy.
Okay. Okay, cool. So we'll start off with the project administrative part. I will show you that. Right. Excuse me. This is where we start from scratch. This from the prompt. We're installing Django. We'll do this sort of things, like the first time to create the site inside your project. Okay. So this utility called Django admin. Then these are the database, SQLite or Postgres. The commands, this is a very common command you will come across in Django. which is, there is a utility file.
Yeah,
there's a utility file manage.py. It can be, it is provided by Django. You can run it with multiple options like a run server and so on. This starts the server. We saw this last session also. This is a default Django server. When localhost comes with this Django development server page, they have some examples and documentation community. There's a polling app example here. Then you have to run these two as a standard before you deploy. Okay. It's one time for each run. I mean, for each deployment.
You have shown me that, I think. Or maybe you showed it for Flask last time. Maybe.
No, I talked about it last time. But that's, we didn't do hands-on. The manage PY create super user. So I told you, this is web admin. So you have to create that admin user. One time we logged in with admin, no? So that's created with this way. And then it logs in. When you log in, you have a site administration capabilities with users, groups, and then the models and all that. So this is the Hello World app, for which start app is there. So when you start app, only then this my app folder will come with all this default files. My site was created with this one. This Django admin start project my site dot. So this creates my site, that folder I'm talking about here. This my site, which gives you all the standard files. But to create your own app under the project, the app under the project, there could be one or more apps. That's how they keep it. But at the base, there is only one simple my app. So to create that, they got this manage PY is giving this option, start app, my app. Okay. So when you create that, then this models, views, admin, everything will come there. Okay. It's a nice way to lay down all the files inside and while creating the project. So that way, you can run this utility, it will create the file structure. Okay. Then go about setting up. So like if you created that my app, you go about making that entry here and so on. The rest is what we have seen for the Hello World. So the next session, when you do hands-on for Hello World, it's a very simple one. You will get a better hands-on for this development. Okay. So right now we have just laid down, discussed about the model view and template. Of course, settings and all that will sink in a little bit when you do the hands-on. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, Prabhu. Yeah, I think we'll wrap it here.
It's busy day starting for you. It's 8 a.m.
There is 8. Actually, why I try to tell 7, because the children's school, if they are there, I have to go drop them. So
got it.
Yeah. So then now it's online, so I have to go, make sure their setup systems are set up and all that.
Okay.
Yeah, both of them.
How old are your kids?
They are in 9th grade.
You have twins, right, Aji?
Yeah, they're twins. Yeah. So here I have to make them sit in separate rooms because they are in 2 separate classes and all that.
Okay.
And we kept it that way. And to have their own circle developed and all that. Sometimes there are common teachers and all that. So I have to go and check on the setup to get them. They will get it started, but I normally do these things there.
Got you.
So I thought I will, when I had to wrap right away, in fact. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, so we will meet after tomorrow. Yeah, Friday night for you. Okay.
Yeah, sure. Okay,
Prabhu. Thank you. Bye. Good night and have a nice one.
Good night. Take care.
Bye. Take care. Thank you. Bye.